Activator camera.
Oh. Guys, happy Wednesday. We are live on PuckTime, WagerTalk TV. Andrew McInnis, Carmine Bianco, and we've got two games to break down for today. We are talking Panthers and Leafs game number 5, and we are also talking Vegas Golden Knights, Edmonton Oilers game 5. Looking forward to breaking down these games, Carm. And, I'll tell you what, besides the Panthers and Leafs series, we have a handful of series right now with a 3-1 lead. We talk about how tight the first round was, getting some game 7s, a lot of game 6s. And, here we are with obviously this series being 2-2 going back to Toronto. But the rest of them, it's like, man, we're pretty much getting ready for the conference finals here.
Yeah, we're getting there, especially after Dallas taking that 3-1 lead yesterday. The Oilers could put it away tonight in the realm in Vegas. We're going to see what happens there. And obviously, this one is going to go at least 2 more games. The one we're going to kick off the show with, which is the Toronto and Florida one. And we should get right to this, Andrew. I'm telling you, listening to a lot of sports radio up here, and it could be toxic at times. When they're winning, they are overjoyed here. They're planning parades. When they're losing, not so much. Today, on my way to pick up a coffee, they absolutely ruined. I am so mad about this. They ruined the Journey song, "Don't Stop Believing." They played on the radio the "Don't Stop Believing," but they changed all the lyrics to Toronto Maple Leaf lyrics. Come on, people. Let's not ruin songs. Can you imagine "Stairway to Heaven"? Maybe the Vegas Golden Knights will change theirs to "Stairway to Heaven" as they head down to Florida for the offseason if they don't get the win tonight, Andrew. But minus 125 on the Leafs. I'm seeing anywhere from minus 120 to minus 130. You guys can obviously check out a sports or Odds Logic, which has up-to-date lines, up-to-date injuries. You can get it all there. It is a great site. You can get 7 days for free. Head over to mine or Andrew's Twitter accounts, and there's a barcode there. You can scan it, get 7 days for free. Test it out because it is so valuable come football season, especially, but for a lot of the other sports as well too. Andrew, I'm going to throw a few things at you about this game. So right off the bat, there's it's the whole Joseph Wall thing. We saw Stollart's back on the ice. He's back on the ice, taking some shots. I don't think he's going to play tonight. The series is 2-2. I think if anything else, you give him a little bit more time off because game 6 in this series is down in Florida on Friday. So you give him at least a couple more practices in case there's something wrong with him. But minus 125 in the Leafs, venue switch, last change. The line matching, I want to say, at least from a Florida perspective, has been very good in this series. How are you playing this one?
Carm, there's so many ways we could go. And to your point about the Toronto media, I mean, you and I could spend probably 40 minutes alone just talking about what's going on with the players, the coaches, the media, Panthers, Leafs, everything. But from a betting perspective, I'll try and stay on track here. I think that I'm going to stick with my consensus that at home for the Toronto Maple Leafs, we'll see a little bit more action. I think on the road for the Florida Panthers, the exact game we saw in game 4 is the exact type of game they want to play. Now, obviously, who wouldn't want to win a game 2-0? That's perfect. But I think that I still believe that over and home games for Toronto and over and success for Toronto correlate and under with Florida. Having said that, I'm going to take the first period over 1.5 in this one here, Carm. It didn't work a couple days ago when I was betting on first period over when a team was off a shutout. But I like this angle even more. You look at this game here. The Maple Leafs were caught being a little bit too picky, being a little bit too, let's say, a version of their old selves. And even Craig Berube called out Mitch Marner, said, you know what? I know he's a pass-first guy. I know he's a great playmaker, but you can't have a guy that wants to make the same amount of money as Mikko Rantanen with 0 shots in his last 2 games, Carm. It just can't happen. 0 shots. I feel like this is going to be what I like to call a kitchen sink game. They're going to throw everything they can, plus the kitchen sink, at the Florida Panthers. And so to me, the first period, wouldn't be shocked to see 1-1, wouldn't be shocked to see 2-0, wouldn't be shocked to see a 2-1 for one team. But I think the first period gets off to a real fast start in this one. Wouldn't be shocked to see the first period go over and then the game settle in. And you got to feel for Joseph Woll, Carm, because you know how many fans said after game 3, well, if Anthony Stolarz was in net, maybe we would have won that game. Well, and then game 4, he does so well for you pretty much through 55 minutes of that game. It's 1-0, and you can't give him any goal support. That's not on him. He did his best to bounce back, give you guys an opportunity. Carter, if you took any team total under in that game, you cash a winner with 2-0 there. So I think we see action. I think tonight's game starts with fireworks. And let's not forget about that added rest. An extra day of rest to me between these two teams just adds to the fire here. And one last point I'll make before I go back to you. The power plays can't get any worse. The power plays cannot get any worse. I mean, what was Florida? 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 in the first period there. In the last game, I think Toronto was very similar numbers. So these power plays can't get any worse. And I think that we're going to probably see a couple early on in the game. First period over 1.5 for me.
Well, I'm glad you didn't go full game over, Andrew, because then we would have our first like mano a mano on this show, because I'm not sure it goes over. And I'm going to preface something from yesterday and then talk about this game here is, a lot of people put it all on Hellebuck and, the fact that he's 1-8 his last 9 starts, but he kept them in the game. But Jake Ottinger just played lights out for the Dallas Stars. I was on WagerTalk today, gave out the Dallas team total over 3.5 plus money, and they had 3 minutes of an empty net. They could not get a goal in the empty net, and the power plays, as you said, the power plays were almost non-existent yesterday. They just couldn't score any goals. But everyone wants to blame somebody. This is how the fan bases are. This is how people on Twitter are, social media. They're talking about Austin Matthews now. The fact that Austin Matthews has 3 goals across his last 20 playoff games, I believe it is, and that he's not doing it. I get it. He's the goal scorer for this team. This is a guy who 2 years ago put up 60 goals. I get it. But you can't blame some of these guys because one thing, and we're going to have a graphic in a second, but Andrew, the one thing that haunted the Toronto Maple Leafs against teams like Tampa Bay in the years past in the first round of the playoffs were the top 5. Were the 4 lines, and that the Leafs' first couple of lines were doing something, but they were getting outplayed by those 3rd and 4th lines. You look at these here, and this is thus far in this Florida series. Being on the ice, Matthews, Nye, Marner, they're all pluses here. That second line with Nylander and Tavares, pluses here. Look at the guys in the bottom half, the Bobby McMahons, the Max Domis, the Scott Laughtons. These are guys who those 3rd and 4th lines are being completely outplayed by the Florida Panthers, and this is why this series is now 2-2. When the Leafs took a stranglehold at home, Florida can roll out 4 lines, and we saw it. And here's the scary thing, and this is why I get your first period over, but I can't take the full game over, because the Florida we saw in Game 4 was the Florida that made the run to the Stanley Cup playoffs 2 years ago. The Florida team that made it to the Cup Finals last year and won it. That they rolled out 4 lines, low-scoring games, and they just grinded you down. They took their opportunities when they got them, and they won games. And this is what they did in Game 4. 3 high-scoring games. The 4th game, Florida was back to playoff Florida style hockey, and now the venue switch. And I get it. There's going to be some line matching as it goes with the Leafs having the last change, but if Game 5 is a mirror of Game 4, the way Florida plays, this series is heading back to Florida on Friday with the Panthers up 3-2 and looking to clinch it on home ice. Any thoughts there?
Carm, I couldn't agree more with you. And the fact is, I'll stress it again that Bobrovsky and Woll both had their best games of the series in the exact same game. And I feel like that can be a bit of a problem for a guy like Joseph Woll. When you look at Bobrovsky shutting the door, making some big saves, and then, of course, Woll over there He's saying, hey, I had thought I had myself a good game as well, but I just got no goal support. It always reminds me of baseball season. Obviously baseball is well and alive right now where we are. And the fact is that you got certain pitchers that have decent ERAs, but they don't have many wins because the team, for some reason, just can't put runs on the board when they're out there pitching. And that's kind of what you feel for with Woll. But when you talk about the style of play, the Florida Panthers, the aggressiveness, getting in on the forecheck, hitting the defenseman. And the issue, I think, is that the toughest players on the Maple Leafs are the defensemen. The toughest players on the Panthers might not even really be the defensemen. They've got a lot of forwards that are gritty. I mean, Marchand's not really a tough guy, but he's gritty. Same thing with Sam Bennett. Those players will cause issues for other forwards. The thing I'm going to say, Carm, in the comment section in the live chat, all the guys with the Leafs names and Leafs logos and their pictures are going to say, well, this is crazy talk. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody cares about a line getting outplayed. And I know the Toronto media overreacts. You live there. You hear it on your radios and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Cole Caulfield still has more goals than Matthews. Brady Tkachuk still has more goals than Austin Matthews. So at the end of the day, nobody is trying to pay Austin Matthews one of the biggest contracts in the league, and Mitch Marner wants Mikko Rantanen money if they're outplaying teams or if they're being defensive shutdown teams. So this is probably the best goaltending duo they've had. This is probably the best defensive duo that they've had. And to your point and your credit, the bottom six has not been good. I think Nick Robertson should probably get slotted into the game tonight. But at the end of the day, it does fall on the top players. So, I've got a buddy of mine that's telling me how much he's been so impressed by Matthew shutting down Barkov. He's not Philip Deneau. He's not a shutdown player. He's a goal scorer. This is a guy that scored like 60 goals in a season. I don't think anybody's leaving the game tonight and saying, well, Matthews didn't score tonight, but I'm so happy he shut down a player. I don't think anybody cares. They want goals. They don't want assists. They don't want shutdown. They need goals from Marner, Matthews, and the big players. And that's my rant for you, Carm. So I think the big players have to step up, which is why I think that overs correlate with the Maple Leafs. Because if you told me tonight and didn't tell me who won, hey, Andrew, the game finished 2-1. Who do you think won? I'll tell you what, I'm pretty confidently going to say that Florida won that game.
Yeah, Andrew, it's the same with any fan base across any sport. If the Leafs were up 3-1 in this series with a chance to close it out tonight, nobody would be talking about Austin Matthews and the fact that he has 3 goals in 20 games. When the Cincinnati Bengals put 40 points up on the board because their defense allowed 38, no one cares because they won the game unless you're betting and they don't cover the spread. When you're winning games, no one cares that there actually might be a problem with the team. And for me, the problem with the team is they're not rolling out 4 lines. You got to tell your third and fourth lines, get out there and shut down their third line or their fourth line or their second line, and allow our first and second lines to get back out there and do some damage. So we'll see if the Barkov and Matthews lines are matched tonight. Again, the Leafs get the last change, and we saw how important that was in the first couple of games. They put up some goals. There were higher scoring games that I anticipated in games 1 and 2 from a Craig Berube side that wants to play some defense. So we'll see what they do tonight. It's going to be an interesting game, especially if the Leafs fall behind. And all the stuff that happened at the end of game 4, Andrew, with the Max Domi cross check right at the end of the game. And who was it that got into the fight there? The Leafs nemesis, Marchand, throwing some punches right at the end of the game, which once the clock is at 0, if you start an altercation, it normally results in a suspension. They're not going to do that. It's just the league $5,000 maximum fine allowed, which is what Max Domi got hit with after that game. But
how can he sleep?
Have to play their game.
How can he sleep without those $5,000, man? He's not going to sleep after that.
It's fine. These guys got it's in the seat cushions. But with that, honestly, with that said, Andrew, they have to play their game. They can't go out there and because if they take bad penalties, it's going to cost them. Florida's going to score. And if they get behind Florida, it's going to be tough to beat Bobrovsky when he is on his game. And he's been on his game for the most part. He's been playing extremely well. And we saw it in game 4.
Yeah, for
Andrew,
sure.
I haven't seen the refereeing matchups in this one, but I joked around with some of my Leaf friends that if it's Wes McCauley, who seems to have, as they say, an axe to grind with the Toronto Maple Leafs, when Wes McCauley is the referee in Toronto games, they are 0-9 in the postseason. 0-9. They have not won a game with him. And I get it. We always want to talk about the referees, but that's a stat you can't ignore. I'm not saying you go to the window and you say, I'm betting on the Florida Panthers because Wes McCauley's the referee. No, you're not taking that into account. But such an odd stat. I don't think any Leaf fan likes Wes McCauley. I know you're looking up the referee matchups right now, so I really appreciate that from you, Andrew. Guys, while Andrew looks up the referee matchups, if you're watching this on social media, if you're on the X or Instagram, hit that heart button. Drop a comment in the comment section. If you have a question, drop one there as well too. We really appreciate it from our end, and of course, it helps our analytics. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, guys. Hit the thumbs up. Let us know. You guys are so diligent, and you're always in the chat each and every day, exchanging information, taking little pokes at each other, but keeping it as civil as possible because you guys are pucksters and we absolutely love you. And with that said, Andrew, we got to talk the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Another low line with a high total. The Knights minus 120, 125, I'm seeing. Total 6.5. I'm going to tell you, I had the over in the last game, and that one just fizzled right out. I thought Stuart Skinner cannot play 2 strong games in a row, but he gets the shutout, and he pretty much shut up everybody who talked about Stuart Skinner not being a good goalie.
Carm, I'm sure you remember me saying this, but it's almost like I was trying to activate a curse. I was like, there's no way that every game can go over. There's no way every game can go over. There's no way every game will be first to 5 wins. And I felt like the more times I said that, the more there was a chance that we ended up probably seeing our first under. And the irony is the first under of the series that we see is a shutout. Like, you got to love that. The first under being a shutout here in this one. You know what, though? The thing is, people forget about the fact that Vegas was the home team here and how strong of a home ice Vegas has had. And so I understand we're supposed to learn from one game to the next, and we're supposed to be able to take information and take things that we've seen and use that for our handicapping moving forward. But at the end of the day, when it ultimately comes down to it, this is a spot here where I don't think we're going to see Vegas lose 3 straight home games. And that's just it. I think when I look up and down the roster, when I look at this team, I think there are too many game breakers. I think when I look at Jack Eichel and what he's been able to do in his career against the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs, it's pretty impressive. In his career, 10 games, 11 assists, 14 points, and a +6 plus minus. I think a player like that can take over the game. I think a player even like Dorofeyev can step up. I think we're going to see Ivan Barbashev play better. A guy like William Karlsson, who's one of the original players on the Vegas Golden Knights, I think he can be better. So whether you're betting the money line or you're betting the team total to get to that magic number of 4 at -110, I think Vegas stays alive. And if you look at the series right now, the Winnipeg, Washington Capitals, the Vegas Golden Knights, I'll tell you, out of those 3 teams, the Vegas Golden Knights, to me, are the one team I think that can extend their series at least 1 game farther. Do you agree with me?
No.
Ooh.
It's over today.
I
No,
didn't build a good enough case.
I think, honestly, I just think the way this series has gone, I thought Vegas played so well in game 3 in that third period. And even though the Oilers tied it late and Vegas then won with 0.4 seconds left, that they would carry that momentum into game 4. And they never seemed like they were in that game at all. The Oilers did just an unbelievable job of locking them down. And a guy like Stuart Skinner, if you don't allow a lot of shots on goal, he's going to stop. He's going to stop most of them. They minimize the shots on goal, especially early on, and you allow a goalie to get into the game, and he gets better as the game goes. And I think that's again going off on a bit of a tangent. That's the problem with we've seen with Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets is that in 10 games he had allowed the first a goal on the first shot of the game 4 times. 4 times. It's almost unheard of. And then yesterday, I think on the third shot of the game or fourth shot of the game, he allowed a goal. So you're playing from behind early on. The Oilers are a team that play well, playing ahead. And if they can get an early lead in this game, Andrew, that noose on the Vegas Next gets a little tighter. It's just we talk about momentum. The momentum has to be with the Edmonton Oilers. They have it's a closeout game for them. Whether they can do it in Vegas tonight and then go out and celebrate remains to be seen. The one play I do have up is a free play on the WagerTalk site, which is a great place to find a ton of free plays, guys. Head over there and you can select by sport. So if you're looking for hockey free plays, click on hockey and it'll show you anyone who has a free play loaded. And this is also a client play. It's a very small one. And if our good friend Leg Show, Andrew, is watching the show, he's going to say, Carm's getting a little viggy on this one, but first period over 1.5 minus 160. Yes, that is vig, but rightfully so, Andrew. 10 games this year in the playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights, and the first period over has hit in 9. The only one it didn't hit on was one of the games in this series. 3 of the 4 games in this series thus far have gone over the total in the first period, including the 3-0 game where they scored 2 goals in that first period, the Oilers, and then pretty much locked it down the rest of the way. So a 9-1 stat with the Vegas Golden Knights going over the total in the first period. I'll lay the vig and a small play on it and take that. Thoughts?
Well, hey, Carm, like I said, man, we've got both games we're discussing tonight, not just one, both games coming off a shutout. And you remember that angle I loved so much in the regular season was that first period over trend following a shutout. Well, it's not 1, but it's 2. I like that, the comment there, Daryl, getting biggie with it. Hey, the juice only matters if you lose. We don't care about the juice. We're going to win this. Carm's over 1.5. We got Josh, John, Titan CT. Of course, as always, Carmine's #1 fan in there. I love it. Jack Frost, Alexandra, everybody's here. So huge fan from Quebec. Much respect for your daily insights, Alexandra. We appreciate you very much. All of you guys in here, Ronnie Vegas, Matthew Morin, Michael, so many of you guys, absolute packed house. Guys, I want you guys to flood the live comments, flood the post-game comments here on YouTube. Let us know who's scoring tonight. Comment your goal scores. We want to hear it. We love it. It's always fun. John says, my parlay, Panthers plus Bennett goal, Oilers plus Perry goal, plus 2760. Well, Perry, he turns 40 years old in 2 weeks, Carm. He is turning back the clock. He has been unbelievable. And John says, first line player, Perry goal is plus 280. You got to love that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of these guys, Granlund yesterday, my God, 3 goals. He scores the first 3 goals for Dallas, the only 3 goals, the natural hat trick for the man. It is great to see. We're seeing some great hockey, Andrew, in the playoffs. And I'm going to go one further for you guys, not on the live chat, but watching later on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Pick the 2 winners of tonight's game. Tell us the total amount of goals scored in the 2 games combined. I will pick one name out of everyone that got them correct, and I'll send you out some PuckTime swag. I still have to pick a winner for the last contest. I'll announce both tomorrow on tomorrow's show. I still got one of those PuckTime shirts, Andrew, that says, "I don't care who wins, just go over the total." So that's a great shirt to wear out when you're degenning it with your friends. Andrew, I think you got some discussion you want to talk about as far as the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here on tomorrow's show or the next day, so I wanted to get this out here. I really like the fact that in the postseason, you have the ability to look at these Conn Smythe. And so let's say all season long, you're like, oh, I'm really disappointed. I missed the boat on this team to win the Stanley Cup. And I know maybe some people will say you can't get as much action down on some of these bets, but at the end of the day, guys, there's still so much value on betting the playoff MVP, the finals MVP. We see it with Super Bowl every year, with NBA Finals every year. We see it with these games where you can find other ways to get your futures in. So Carolina, right now, to me, holding that 3-1 lead in their series, Carm, Frederik Andersen has been unbelievable. Don't get me wrong, but I think it takes a lot for a goaltender to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. And I just don't see it happening with him. But I'll tell you what, right below where Frederik Andersen's name is at 650 is Sebastian Aho at 16-1. I'll tell you what, you look at the number right now on the Stanley Cup odds for the futures for Carolina, you're getting like 350 or 450 for them to win the Stanley Cup. Well, I'll interest all of you guys in a 16-1 sprinkle on Sebastian Aho to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. And then just looking over a little bit to the right, we'll move over a little bit to the right. Leon Draisaitl is 11-1. Connor McDavid won it last year when they lost in the Stanley Cup. And I know McDavid's been unbelievable again this year, but the way I look at it, he's a fantastic player as well, top 3 or 4 player in the league. He could easily take over the next 2 rounds if they move on past Vegas, and then he's in line to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. So there's so many ways to look at it. Like at this point right now, if you like the Leafs, I say you bet William Nylander at 25-1, right? I mean, you look across the board, Carm, with Barkov, with Bobrovsky. Obviously, you have to make sure you're picking the right guys, but at the end of the day, it's a really good way of saying, I missed the boat on this future. I can't lay plus 350 on Dallas, but I'm going to take, this guy to win the Conn Smythe, and I'm going to take, to me, Sebastian Aho is a play that I want everybody in the PuckTime chat to join me on. Because if you like Carolina to win the Stanley Cup, or you like them to win this round and the next round, you get that 16-1 ticket.
Yeah, Andrew, I look at these odds, and I would never lay plus 370 on Mikko Rantanen, just because when you think about players that are playing extremely well, and even if they make it to a cup final and lose, that they can win the Conn Smythe. And I cashed the ticket on Connor McDavid last year winning the Conn Smythe, because even if he didn't score goals, he was setting them up. He was a point machine. Mikko's in this series and in the last one, a couple of hat tricks as well too, but the assists aren't always there. I think he had one in yesterday's game. So even though he might be up there, there are a lot of players I think that are going to pass him. And I would always lean to a goalie. I know you like Aho, but maybe it's an overreaction watching Jake Ottinger yesterday and the Dallas Stars, and you figure that they're going to close out this series and play the winner of this Edmonton and Vegas Golden Knights series that could go longer than 5 games if the Knights can find a win tonight. You got to like Dallas to make it to a cup final. I harped all year long about the Dallas Stars, and I thought them and Colorado, one of them would make it to the cup. They had to play each other in the first round, and one knocked out the other, of course. But 16-1, because it goes to a goalie most of the time, and it could very well happen here with Jake Ottinger. So I would take the 16-1 just for the sheer hedging opportunity you might have a little later on, Andrew, in picking an opposing team's player if Dallas makes a run to the Stanley Cup finals. So we shall see. But I wish you the good luck. Hey, maybe Carolina-Dallas Stanley Cup final. What do you think?
Well, look, everybody all year long just talked about the Atlantic Division. They talked about the Oilers. They talked about the Avalanche, talked about these teams, but nobody really gave credit to a Carolina-Dallas Stanley Cup. I know it wouldn't be the most exciting Stanley Cup matchup, I guess, because Carolina plays the boring hockey people think they do. But guess what? They're a very well-oiled machine, and they play very, very well. Carm, we've got a lot of great deals coming up at WagerTalk. One great one, of course, right now is one that I like because I think that people are going to get a chance to get their toes wet. Only $49 for a 3-day pass, I think is a really good one, because with so many sports going on right now, still with the NHL playoffs, NBA, MLB, soccer, UFC, golf on the weekends, there's just so many different sports going on that you get that 3-day sample size. You get the opportunity throughout 3 days to kind of get to try out a handicapper and see what they're all about. So look, $35 for a 5% play, $49 for 3 days. I think it's pretty much the obvious choice here. Thinking about having a 5% play on tomorrow's Carolina game. So looking forward to that. Stay on the lookout for that. I will not be on PuckTime. I'll be traveling, but I really like that game tomorrow. But Carm, $49, 3 days, pretty good one, which is really nice. And I'm looking forward to a great one. Last night, 1-in-1 day in baseball. But again, we got that plus 110. I'm betting good numbers, Carm. We're just eking out profit. You got to love that here this season. I think I'm only like 3 wins above 500 in MLB, and I'm plus over 10 units on the year. So it's all about the prices for me. I am not getting Viggy with it. I'm actually doing the opposite with the MLB right now.
Well, you're hitting it out of the ballpark to tie that all together. But that is a great deal because if you're not ready for like a long-term package, at least judge someone over 3 days, even though that's a very small sample size for them. The 7-day ones are always good, and that's why that flex package that was up, where you get you buy 7-day flex and you get an additional 3 days, because you can bounce around with cappers, or if you're happy with the guy that you pick the night before, you just take him again and continue to move on. But it is a great deal. I do have an MLS. There's midweek soccer going on. I have a 5% play up there, which is $35. So I think it's almost a no-brainer picking up the $49 3-day all access, because you're going to get hockey for the next 3 days, and there's a bunch of midweek soccer as well too. There's going to be some client plays. So the great thing about it is the minute the play is loaded, even though it's not up on the site yet for sale, or if it's just a client play, it pops up in whether an alert on your phone or in your email, and you get it right away to get the best price possible. Because I think that's the biggest and most important thing. Gianni talks about it all the time on WagerTalk today, is to get the best number possible on your bets. So with that said, Andrew, I'm looking forward to it. I wish you a safe couple days of travel. Man, you travel a lot. I need a job like yours.
Yeah.
I talked about the Edmonton one, and that the client play is the first period over, Andrew. I honestly, even though I think the series ends tonight, I don't want it to end, because it gives us more games to discuss, more teams to talk about. I would love to see a game 6 in Edmonton and maybe a game 7 back in Vegas. And maybe it's selfish me. I don't know how long the Stanley Cup playoffs are going to go on for. But the longer they go on for, the better chance I'm going to Vegas in mid-June, that if the Vegas Golden Knights were in the Stanley Cup finals, I would be able to go and watch a game. So yeah, selfish me wants to see a game in Vegas. They are undefeated when I am at T-Mobile Arena. That's all I
Ooh,
want to say.
I
Oh,
like that.
sorry, 6-0. My record watching the Vegas Golden Knights at T-Mobile Arena. So that is something. Brian Leonard used that in the third period against the LA Kings when the Kings were up 1-0, and Brian Leonard bet the Vegas Golden Knights live after I told him that stat. And I think he also bet the -1.5, and Vegas won 3-1. So Brian, you owe me a couple of beers if you're watching this. Andrew,
Carm,
take us out.
I was gonna say, just real quick, do you know the Tim Hortons challenge, like the hockey challenge on the app? Do you know
Yeah.
about that? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the most Canadian thing ever. But for people that don't know, there you can, on the app for Tim Hortons, you pick they give you 3 different groupings of players, like 5 or 6 players to choose for anytime goal scorers for that night, and you pick them, and if you get 1 right, you earn this many points, 2 right, 3 right, and if you get a certain streak, you win coffee for a week. So my girlfriend started doing it. And yesterday, guess what the one player is that she said, this is my most confident player? She has no idea who he is, Carm. Mikael Granlund. And she's like,
Wow.
yeah, Andrew, I can't believe you picked Winnipeg. I really think Dallas, like, you spend all your. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like right now, I'm literally taking a shot on the underdog, thinking that tonight's contrarian play would be Winnipeg finally getting the job done on the road. Meanwhile, she starts her first day doing the Tim Hortons challenge, and she picks Mikael Granlund as her guy to score a goal. You just can't make it up, and that's the
So,
beginner's luck for you.
so basically, tune in tomorrow. Andrew's traveling, but it'll be Carmine Bianco and Lindsay on Puck Time.
Yeah,
But speaking of Tim Hortons, do you know who loves Tim Hortons? Well, I'm
Kelly.
not going to say she loves it, but Kelly, she says it's much better than Dunkin' Donuts. I've only had Dunkin' Donuts once, and I took a sip and threw it out. So it is not that great. The only good thing about Tim Hortons is once you finish the coffee, or sorry, the Dunkin' Donuts. Once you finish the coffee, you can kind of sit there and collect coins from people walking by to get yourself a Tim Hortons coffee. But with that said, apparently the Detroit crew had a great time at the game last night. The 50-50 draw, they bought just zillions of tickets. I hope they at least won that. But they got to witness a very good baseball game that went into extra innings. But I'm done, Andrew. I'm going to send it over to you to any final thoughts and close it out.
That's it, guys. That's it. We love the live chat. You guys were absolutely fantastic today. Appreciate all of you guys. I will see you next Monday, I believe, here on Puck Time, and Carmine's back here tomorrow. Again, comment below your goal scorers. Give us your picks. You want to hear from it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. And Wager Talk today, hosted by Steve Merrill today, coming up at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time right here on Puck Time.